I think Nyota has a quick follow-up.
Yeah, when you talk about no national ID, I mean, you've talked about how much money was put in there, but I'll move you a bit away from there to look at a situation of research and national data collation and usage. We have institutions that have been collecting data in the country for the driver's license, for instance. The banks have data, biometric data collected. INEC has data being collected. In finding a solution to the no foundation situation and using what we have, how would you suggest that all of this data be put together, and then what kind of research can we draw from our institutions to move our nation forward?
Fantastic, beautiful question. You're spot on there. By my last calculation, we've got about 5 biometric databases. You just mentioned some. The BVN is there. The TVC, temporary voters card, is there. The PVC, permanent voters card, is there. The NIMC card is there. You've got the driver's license. You've got our international passport. These are all biometric database, but yet we've got no national ID system. That's why I say there is no willpower, there is no foundation. If we can bring this together, clean it up, within a year, within 6 months, we can have an ID system. But down to the issue, is there a willpower? Is there a foundation to get that? No, there's not.
Mr. Onyekwelu, when you look at, you've really harped on the issue of border security and the identification system, but when you look abroad, what you see a lot is that even the most developed nations in the world don't have 100% border security. There's so much controversy in the United States about that, that even though they have the resources, the logistics, the technology, the manpower, the recruitment, everything, they still can't secure their own borders because of how large it is. Bring it back to the Nigerian context now, where obviously we're deficient in so many of these areas. If we know that you have, even where border security is more effective, you have people digging underground tunnels, for example, as we've seen in Gaza and Israel and Palestine. We have all these sophisticated measures of getting people illicitly into countries. What really is the comprehensive solution? Because we know arms aren't just coming from outside. They're also being manufactured inside of Nigeria. What's the comprehensive solution to that?
The bottom line here is we need to ask our chief of security staff, our security of chiefs, to actually come together to see what they can do better. Let's not talk about the USA, because we know the percentage of porous borders in the USA. We know the percentage, when it comes to the borderline of the US, you cannot compare that to Nigeria. Nigeria is a little fish. When you talk about the borderlines of Russia, of South Africa, we know what's going on. But the bottom line is, the level of porous borders in Nigeria is scary. We're talking about thousands.
No, we all agree on that, yes.
All right. Now, the bottom line is, even though we're in the ECOWAS community of nations, the issue becomes you still have to have a travel document to cross from one country to one country. So if you're suspecting armed bandits or herdsmen, they should still come in with their documents. Do we do that? Now, based on your final question about what can we do, we can do a lot. We can bring in technology. We can bring in more primary policing to safety of the people. We should get the army and the immigration and the customs to do more of the border patrol. We should actually have the determination to say that these arms, let me give you an example. If you go to somewhere like Sierra Leone or Senegal, they can actually tell you, do you live in Lagos? You buy this AK-47 with 20 rounds of ammunition and I'll bring it to you. This is a first-hand experience of what happened to people I know. So they believe they can bring the firearms to you into Nigeria. Go to our border societies. We have to do more. There's no houses for our immigration officers to live in these border communities. When I say houses, most of the houses there are owned by the traffickers. So when you live in a house owned by a trafficker, as a custom officer, as an immigration officer, how can you be able to do your job? The government should be able to build more houses for these our security officers.
Well, there will also be the question as to whether or not we should be worried about the ethnic dimensions. You mentioned something along that line. We'll come and take a look at it quickly in our closing moments. When we come back from this break, please stay with us. Well, Vincent Ekwelu is still with us in the studio. He's a former British police officer and also a security analyst. And it's our closing moments with him. I want to quickly ask you something. You made reference to, the container shiploads of arms that were coming in and were intercepted at the borders, talking about them, an attempt to try and brand a certain section of this country. Should we really be bothered about who's branded and who's not branded? Is that something that we should also be taking into perspective when we're talking about something that is menacing as arms proliferation?
Yes and no. Why do I say that once again? Obviously, I am not in support of trying to make everything look about ethnic groups. If somebody is doing something wrong, the law enforcement should step down hard on the person so far they are using appropriate force, so far they are using due diligence to step on hard. That's what I mean. That's number one. Then number two, if we have any reasons to believe that the information and communication, there's what we call PIOs, public information officers in every security department or every company. If we have believed that they are being creative in the way they manage information, then we can tell them, guys, we know what you're doing. I'll give you an example. The time the Ozobolo massacre came up, there was a mention of a gentleman called Bishop. He was criticized of being a criminal. And eventually, he's got no criminal record in Nigeria. He lives in South Africa, a very well-secured society. He's got no criminal record in South Africa. I'm not saying anything, but what I'm saying, he's got no criminal record means he's got no criminal record. There's no issue of trying to assume. When we had the issue of Evans, Evans A, Evans B, those guys are all criminals, they all make money. We have to look at the narratives and correct it. Now, in conclusion, if you are Yoruba or Hausa or Igbo, you do a crime, you should go down hard. Don't try to defend yourself, oh, they are after me. No. The law should go hard on them. However, when the IGP of police talked about the issue of going to disarm the vigilantes in Anambra, knowing fully well that these guys have got almost 90%...
Was it specific about just Anambra?
No. But if you hear people like from Anambra, the government, the PG of Ohaneze Ndibo, they were actually coming up to say, these vigilantes have secured us. There were kidnapping issues in Anambra State 10, 15 years ago, but they've been there to help it. The arms they use is pump actions. You've never been involved in massacre of peoples in the Middle Belt. The bullet in the firearm has never been used in forensic evidence to say it's being used. So why are you going to break something that is working? Leave it. When they say they send military jets...
I mean, those are definitely valid issues. The question is, should we make it ethnic?
No, not at all. Not at all. But people will ask questions. When there is serious massacre of lives in the Middle Belt, you don't send battalions of jets and all those equipments to go and secure them. Now you send jets to maybe to the southwest or maybe to the southeast where there's relative peace. Those military ammunitions and equipment should be sent to where it's needed to stop the massacre of lives in Benue, Taraba, Kaduna, and all the rest. That is the focus. But it should not be ethnic.
It's a fine place to leave it. We have to thank you most kindly for coming on Sunrise today. Vince Onyekwelu is a former British police officer and also a security analyst. Well, that's how we'll wrap up the program today as well. Thank you so much for being such fine company. I'm Maokwe Ogun Yusuf.
Have a great day, everybody. I'm Ajuri Ngilale.
What a day, hot session there in Abuja. Thank you for watching. I'm Gimba Umar.
Have yourself a beautiful day. I'm Nelta Igbe.